I pretty much feel like I'm done with Yakuza now. After the relative disappointment of 5 compared to the earlier ones, and the honestly disappointing ending of 6, I'm not in the same kind of trance as I was in the beginning and leading up to 0. These things happen. I bowed out of the Final Fantasy series after 10, apart from the remakes and a few others. I lost a lot of my then intense love for Resident Evil after 5, though that rebounded a bit with the Revelations games. I mean, it happens. And now I'm feeling like I could take a few steps back from the Yakuza series too. However, there is one thing left I have to touch on, and that is the live action stuff. Chronologically, the first was Like a Dragon Prologue, released in 2006, about 4 months after the first game. It got a DVD release in Japan and an online release with subtitles from Sega Europe on their website. It follows Kiryu, Nishiki and Yumi in their childhood, as well as a more literal prologue to the game showing what happened when Yumi got kidnapped by Dojima, which of course sets Kiryu off after her and starts it all. The childhood scenes at Sunflower Orphanage are done well, showing how Kiryu and Nishiki took to fighting as well as smoking at an early age, but also their friendship and the start of the love triangle with Yumi. It's also the only thing in the whole series where you can see Nishiki's sister. In all other Yakuza-related games and media, they abstain from showing her. The prologue was directed by Takeshi Miyazaki and executive produced by Takahashi Miike, which is interesting as he would go on to direct the proper Yakuza live-action movie adaptation. However, I feel that the prologue is actually better on a dramatic level. And though the running time is only 43 minutes, I wish it had been expanded and was in the movie. There are some nitpicks of course, like how Dojima is bald, and the actor playing Kiryu is a pro wrestler while the guy playing Nishiki looks decidedly weak, at least in comparison. But on the whole, it's quite good. The next release is the aforementioned Yakuza live-action movie, simply called Ryuga Gotoku Geki Jouban, or Like a Dragon in English. I've reviewed this already, so I'll just summarize it like this. It's highly entertaining, with good fights and humor, mostly by Majima, but from a story perspective it fails pretty hard, with almost none of the drama from the game shown. I can still recommend it on the entertainment factor alone, but don't expect a great video game movie adaptation. Next we have the Kuroyo Ryuga Gotoku TV Drama, based off the 2 PSP spin-off games with 2 seasons, one based off each game. The show stars Tatsuya Ukyo, played by Takumi Saito, who was also in the Phoenix Wright movie as Edgeworth, and was apparently well received because he got to be the voice in the second game, which I much appreciated, having found the first game's voice actor very aggravating. Anyway, the story follows the game pretty close, but not entirely, which I actually don't have much of an issue with, unlike most adaptations. For one, they made Tatsuya more sympathetic in the show, where he goes into that Yakuza office to save his friend rather than to just rob the place. From there, the basic gist is the same. He gets framed for murder and while trying to solve the mystery is forced to fight in the underground fighting ring Dragon Heat, where losing a match means losing your life. The second season, like the game, sees Tatsuya gearing up for a regular boxing career in the USA, but whereas in the game he actually goes there, in the show he doesn't get the chance to, as the Dragon Heat ring where he used to fight and its new crew of fighters are under attack from a rival ring in Osaka called Ashura. Apparently Tatsuya has some fondness for the ring that almost took his own life last time, and he agrees to help them. I'll leave more plot details for a spoiler section, but overall my impression of both seasons were good. The mysteries unfolded nicely over the course of the 12 episodes per season, and the characters are all pretty good, some of which are directly from the games and some aren't, that I remember anyway. And one of them kinda looks like Japanese Rob Schneider. The action choreography isn't Hong Kong level or anything, but it does its job well enough. I also like how the show uses some music from the games, although I didn't like how I had to wait until halfway into Season 2 until they finally did a On the Head! In 2015, Sega produced a stage play version of the first game, only in Japan but also on DVD, only in Japan. The play is well over 2 hours long, and features all the scenes you would expect, aided by a projector above the stage, which sometimes shows clips from the game, or names of characters introduced, which are complete with the classic sound. The play is worth watching beyond the novelty factor though, because it adds a few scenes with Goda, who was in the second game revealed to have been plotting against Tojo already during the events of the first game. Here we see him discussing things with Terada and Jingu. There's also a childhood flashback with Kiryu, Nishiki and Yumi a la the prologue. However, instead of having child actors run in, they just have the adults act like children, which is interesting to see. All major characters from the games are here, except Tojo 3rd chairman Masaru Sera, as during the boardroom scene they made his chair invisible, so to speak, so you are in his position and the other guys are on the left and right, instead of back and front, which would have allowed for Sera to be in this. Another interesting choice. The stage play is another good production. If you want the DVD, it's not very easy to find, but some used copies are at least on Amazon Japan. I found mine on Yahoo Auctions, however. Finally, in 2016, after the release of Yakuza 6, Ryuga Gotoku Tamashi no Uta was made. Some people call it a drama, aka TV show. I'm not entirely sure personally. It was released on DVD on 2 volumes, both the length of a movie. You can see it as a miniseries or just together as one long movie. It's still not any longer than Endgame. Even though it was released close to Yakuza 6 and the story begins in Onomichi, this does not take place in the game world. In fact, they play Yakuza Kiwami in the thing. The story follows 3 young gang members in Onomichi as they live rotten lives, being treated badly by their own crew and yearning to break free and go to Tokyo to try their luck and be like Kiryu himself. After robbing a big bag of weed from their gang and one guy losing a finger in the process, they go to Tokyo and muscle in on this random guy demanding to stay at his place, which they do for a while until they start doing odd jobs for series creator Toshihiro Nagoshi. What? Actually, this is far from his first appearance. He was in the live-action movie as Jingu, and he was in both seasons of the Kuroyo TV show as well. Anyway, the trio eventually get to join a real Yakuza crew, complete their rags to semi-riches story as they get to manage a hostess club, and everything is great forever? From here I'm going to talk about some of the details, mostly the plots of the Kuroyo TV show and Tamashi no Uta, so big spoiler alert time. First, I just want to mention one part of the prologue, which is where Yumi's parents get killed. They seem to get killed in a crossfire of some Yakuza showdown, and they get shot, both of them. One of them gets shot in the head, and like blood splatter everywhere. It's pretty hardcore for this kind of production. Then Tamashi no Uta. I like how it went further with the dark stuff than most Japanese movies I've seen so far, with the Chinese mafia guys dealing in human organs and eventually harvesting even the top hostess, who one of the guys is in love with. Not to mention the fact that both the bad and good guys die in the end, except the Chinese, who survive. And there's no fake outs either, like there usually are. They all just die. In the first Kuroyo TV show, the villain turns out to be one of the best friends, which is certainly not taken from the game. But I do like the motivation they gave him. His mother had a heart attack, but the ambulance couldn't get to the hospital in time because Tatsuya and his posse were having a big street fight which blocked the road. So he concocted this whole scheme, including killing his sister, to get his revenge. In the second show, like the second game, there's a blind guy. In the game he's the villain and final boss, but in the show he's a bit villainous, but it's for some understandable reasons, and he's not the final boss. The real villain is a politician, like the first game, so a bit of a switcheroo there. Overall, I think the Yakuza series live-action companion pieces are good. There are no turkeys here. I think the games outdo all of them, but that's me. If I were to rank them, I would say Tamashi no Uta was the best, followed by the prologue, the Kuroyo Season 1, and then Season 2 after that, because it wasn't as interesting, plus the ending was kinda weak. Then the Like a Dragon movie, which narrowly beats the stage play, which does follow the games way better, but suffers from the fact that it's a stage play. I just like movies more. Well, that's it for me. Enjoy Yakuza 7, or Yakuza Like a Dragon as it will be known over here. Don't mix it up with the movie now.